Hey there, this is going to be a slightly different video. I'm going to show you how I organize my life in Todoist, how I stay on top of tasks, how I try not to forget things in my personal life, in work life, and in personal projects and things like that. So I'm going to show you what I do. A lot of this can be applied to other to-do lists. It could be applied to even pen and paper, a lot of these strategies. But I'm going to show you how the software works, what I currently do with it to schedule my life and plan it out. It can be as simple or as complex as you want, so take what you want, but hopefully this is beneficial to someone who's wanting to hop into it. So here we have Todoist. This is not my personal account. This is a test account. And let me first show you around. Let me show you the place. Right here is the inbox. This is kind of the main list, the default list that things will go to if you add them. It was just a place that comes in and then you can organize it later. You have your search tab here. You have today, which anything that's overdue or scheduled for today will show up in. Nothing's here because we're going to get to that in a second. Upcoming is just by date when it's scheduled. If it has the due date, then it will show up in here. So you can scroll and keep scrolling and scroll forever and look for things that are coming your way. Down here you have your, you have filters and labels. Filters are a unique way of seeing specific types of tasks. Labels are a way to organize tasks. And then you have projects down here, which we don't have any projects right now. We're going to get into that. So right off the bat, inbox, you could just stop here if you really wanted to. You could just have an inbox, and this is just one list. This is a running list. Everything happens here. That's what a lot of people encourage starting out with, just so you don't get too lost in the weeds. But let's say we have all this stuff. Let me introduce some labels and projects for you. Well, first off, let's start with due dates. Well, first off, I know I keep saying this. I keep messing up. I want to show you the quick capture because my favorite aspect of this software is how fast you can capture things. So I can go down here and I can hit the plus button and I can add a test here. And I can add a description too, which is cool because you can put notes, you can put links. I can do hashtag to add a header. I can add bullets, all sorts of stuff. So you can put a lot of context that you need to figure out. Sometimes I have a task where it's like follow up with this person. But it's like there's a lot of stuff I need to know. And then the notes I can be, hey, here are the things I need to follow up on. Here's the phone number. Here's the email address. Here's the website. And it's all here. So whenever this comes around, then I will have all that context. But maybe I don't want to add with that button. If you are in Todoist, whether it's on the browser, in the app, on your phone, well, not on your phone. This works a little different, but if I'm on the screen and I hit Q, this quick capture window comes up. If you use the desktop app, you can set a shortcut. I think for Mac default, for me, it's Control Command A. No matter what app you're in, you can be in your email and you can hit that shortcut and this will pop up, which is really cool because I could say like, I could read an email saying family's coming in 2 weeks. And I say, oh man, need to prepare for family visiting. And if I just hit enter, it will just show up in my inbox. That's something I need to figure out when I'm going to do that, where I'm going to do that. I can edit the task here. I can schedule it here. I can add comments to that. So if you wanted to add comments and be like, blah, 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 add some notes about this task, comment, you can come visit that. You can also add it in the description. And you can even add it to subtasks. It's like get milk, do thing. I don't use subtasks a ton except for things that are recurring that need it. But if you like subtasks, go for it. You can add them right here. You can hide them. You can check them off as you go. And yeah, it's pretty cool. But this quick capture, what's nice about it is let's build some projects now. I'm gonna call one personal. This is all my personal stuff. I'm gonna make it blue and fun. And you can add it to favorites if you want, but it's going to show up right in the projects. If you add it to favorites, it's going to show up in your favorites, which you can also add labels. Let's say labels that are an errand. I can add that to favorites, so I can see all the errands in here. But we'll come back to these in a second. I'm going to unfavorite this, and I'm going to make one called work, because those tend to be the big areas that people have in common. Let's make it orange. And you can make any of these. Inbox is just a project. It's the same as these guys down here. They're all the same and they all operate the same way. So in any project, test and test 2. In any project, you can add sections where I can say maybe this is this week, or maybe it's home, or it all depends on your project. And I can drag things into here. If you command on Mac, command click, you can drag multiple things places. I could drag these into a different thing, into work over here. But the point is, wherever you drag them, you can have sections if that's helpful to you. And you can also change the view to a board view if you'd rather see it as this week, this month. I cannot type. There we go. And I can drag things around. So whatever floats your boat. If you like this Kanban view, cool. If you like that list view, there's a calendar view, but you need the pro version to do that. So that will not work out of the box. I'm going to drag this back up here. You can drag that as a subtask if you want to. And I'm going to remove these sections for a second, because I want to show you, we've got these tasks, we've got this errand thing. I'm going to remove that as well. Another project that I would probably use is lists. So I make a list, which is funny. Let's color that and add. And lists, I don't tend to use subsections in here in work or personal, but in lists I do, because the whole point of list is it's for me to note down recommendations made to me. So maybe I make a movies one, and maybe I make a books one. And you can put emojis in here. You can do whatever. Maybe I make a restaurant. And if someone recommends a movie, I can say, oh, they recommended this movie. Tyler recommended this. Or I put the link in here, or whatever. And I hit, if you're in here, if you hit Command Enter, it will enter. Anyway, these are the main projects I use. And then you can make some more as you need to. You can make side projects. In the free version, this is all free, by the way. This is a free account that you're seeing. This test account is free. You're limited to 5 projects, and you can even make these sub projects if they want, but 5 of these total, which that might be one reason to upgrade. I think it's like $40 a year to have the paid version. So if you don't want limits on that, if you want to have a bunch of sub projects within your thing, it's well worth it. You can also get reminders, push reminders on your phone. You can, I think, get location reminders. There's a lot that you get with the paid version, but the free version gives you plenty to start out with. But let me show you how I get organized. Let's say we come into here. This is just a brain dump of all the things that I could think of that we need to do. I'm going to make that not a subtask. Oh, you could see that even that need to prepare family visiting, it's showing me the subtasks there. But let's say I can click on this and I can move it if I wanted to. I could say this is a personal thing, but that's really slow. You can also drag things by themselves, but if you command click, and I think on the phone if you swipe to the one of the sides, you can mass choose things. So check in with friend Thursday, get groceries, call mom, gift for Susan. All these things are personal. Call doctor, Susan's birthday, call back Ted. Maybe that's a work thing. Let's say that's a work thing. Test and prepare for family. Now I can either move to, or I can just drag this all to personal. So that's all personal. Let's say all this stuff, and I'm going to shift click the bottom, and I'm going to drag this or move it to work. So now my inbox is cleared just like that, and this catch-all that catches all the things incoming is cleaned up, and I don't need to worry about it. So we have our personal list here, we've got our work list, and we've got our list, our movies and stuff like that. Personal, there's a lot of things to consider, so maybe I'm going to start choosing some things and organizing them a little bit. So we can organize by date, we can organize by priority. For instance, let's say groceries is super important because I need to cook tonight, and milk got thrown on there too. I'm going to make that a high priority. This has to happen tonight. You can see this didn't move or do anything. Let's also say that I want these done today. These need to happen today. Let's say buying a new toaster, I need to do that before next week, so let's do that on Wednesday. I want to revisit that. I would advise scheduling this for the day you want to do it, not the day that it's due, because that means it will pop up on your to-do list when it's due, and you don't want that. Maybe get gift for Susan. You know what? I'm getting groceries. I can do that today because I'm out and about. And maybe that's where these are all errands. Maybe I want to add the label errands to this. Maybe there. I don't use a lot of labels, but you could find some use for it if you wanted to. Dog vet, fix sink, dog vet. Let's do next week. next weekend for some reason fix sync. That's not going to happen until this guy shows up on the 30th. So the 30th we'll do that. This is still not very organized. That's where this view comes in. It's very handy. So let's say we want to group this. Sorting and grouping. Sorting will just take everything and sort it in that order. Grouping will put it into groups, and then you can also sort within those groups. So let's say we want to group by priority. That means everything that's priority 1, this red, will show up at the top. Everything else will show up at the bottom. And then as I change things, like maybe these two are medium priority, they will pop up, and maybe this one's blue. So that's one way to see things. In the past, sometimes I've done this as like red's what I'm working on now, yellow is going to be in the morning, blue is the afternoon, and this is like evening. That's one way to think about it. Another way you could view this personal list, which I personally do, is I group it by the due date. So I can kind of get a glance at like, okay, these are the things, personal things that have to happen today. That's the stuff that happens Wednesday, Saturday. These are the things that are not scheduled yet. And then same thing for work. I would do view, grouping. I do it by due date. And let's say, I don't know why call doctor is in that. You will realize that if you put a view thing here, you can't drag anymore. That only works with the main view. So if I wanted to move this, I'd have to hit these dots, or I have to go into here and move this. So I'm going to move that to personal. And let's say this is due Friday. I want to do this Tuesday. Log work report has to happen at the beginning of the week. Susan's birthday, but maybe she's a work friend. I'm gonna wish her happy birthday on her birthday on Thursday. You can see how that all goes. So we have this scheduled, and then I normally live in the today view. If you go into your settings, there's shortcuts to it, but if I do OT, this opens the themes. But then if I go to general, you can choose your home view. So every time you open it, it will default to this view. I use today because you can also choose when weeks start, when weekends start, all of that, and smart date recognition. We're going to get to that. But I have my today view as the default view that I live in, and let's set some stuff for today so I can see some work stuff today. Cool. And let's do inbox test, and let's make that today. So if I go to today view, you can see all the stuff is set due today, but this is still a little confusing. So I would go group, and instead of date, because everything's due today, I would say organize this by project. So I can see, cool, these are the things due today: inbox, personal, work. Inbox in theory shouldn't stay there. Test, let's say that's a work thing. I'm going to move this to work. So now that's cleaned up. That's down here at work. So this is all my personal stuff I got to do today. Here's all my work stuff I got to do today. Then I just focus on the today view. I don't need to worry about big picture stuff. I don't need to worry too much about this if I'm organized. We're going to get to a weekly review in a second. I want to show you a few quick capture things. In this view, it will add the metadata if I hit this add task. So if I click this, it's already going to put it in personal. So testing. Cool, that's in the correct list on the correct day. And this is a new thing. That's there too. So you can add things to this view as they come up. If you hit the Q button and do this quick capture, then you can continue to add things as needed. But I want to show you this quick capture because it's one of my favorite things, as I mentioned. Wherever you are, let's say I quick capture wherever, and I say, oh man, I got a gift for mom for birthday. But let's say in the description I say before next Friday. But in here, I can add all of the metadata without having to manually add it. So let's say it's before next Friday. I need to get this gift like Tuesday. So if I do Tuesday, you can see that turns red. It's recognizing that's Tuesday. Let's say this is high priority on that Tuesday. It has to happen. So I'm going to put P1. You can put P1, P2 for the different priorities. P1. This is going to be at Aaron. Ats let you put the labels in there. And this is definitely a personal thing. So if I do hashtag personal, then I can, if I hit enter on this, then it puts it all in the right places. You go into personal here, You can see on Tuesday, get gift from mom. It's Tuesday, it's errand, it's P1. It all in that one sentence. It was all encapsulated, which is pretty cool, and I love that. And I want to show you some of the date recognition stuff because that's some of the coolest stuff personally for me. Is that, let's say, update computer. Maybe I need to do this every first of the month. So if I say every first of the month, then every first of the month, this is going to come up. And let's say this is a work thing. Hashtag work. Then in my work thing, on the first of the month, right here, it comes up. And when I check this off, it's going to push it to March 1st. And it will keep doing that. It will, until you delete it, it'll keep doing that. And there's different ways to do this as well. So let's say test. You can even shorten it to every EV Tuesday. Every Tuesday. I can say every other Tuesday. I can say every third Tuesday, which is pretty cool. There's certain things like at the end of the month at work I need to do. So sometimes I will say test like last Monday of the month. Then that will work. Or I could even more specifically, I just need to do it like the last day I'm at work. So I'm going to do the shortened, every last weekday of the month. Then I hit go on that, and that's going to be in the inbox because I didn't move it. Test January 31st, February 29th, March 29th. Like, that's not the 31st. That's not the last day of the month. It's figuring out when the last weekday is going to be. So it will always show up. And that's why I love this. You can put it once. And if you do it right the first time, this little task, I don't have to think about it. I just throw it in work. Don't have to think about it. And someday it'll show up in this today view. I will open up my computer in the morning. I will open up this view and it will say, hey, you need to do this thing. It's the last weekday of the month. And I'll be like, oh, okay, super helpful. And that's what I like. The idea of like you tossing everything in here, all the things in your head that you need to do that's personal, work, projects, whatever, they go in here. And then you can schedule them and they will pop up when they need to pop up. You don't need to actively remember that you need to do them. They will pop up as long as you check here. And if you don't want to check here, pay for the pro plan, add reminders to everything so it will pop up on your phone. You don't even need to open the app and it will come and tell you, which I think is super cool. I want to get into filters a little bit. You can see this upcoming view now. We've got a few things that are scheduled. I live in the today view. This is what I focus on. This is the personal and work is what I tend to do, just so I have an idea of what needs to happen personally today, what needs to happen work today. And then I have one as far as other projects, keeping this within the 5. I have one called just projects, which this might be personal projects. This can range from freelance stuff that I've got to maybe even house projects, anything like that. And you could probably put some sections in here if you wanted. You could say house projects. You could say video projects or whatever you're doing. These are like bigger things that are going to take more time to do. So that's another project. But again, be clever with your 5. I think personal and work, probably 90% of my stuff goes in there. And then some other things you can use your other 3. And again, if you pay for the pro plan, $40 a year, I think, not that bad. You can have a lot of projects and you can have sub projects and you can do all of that. But now I'm going to show you filters, because filters is where a lot of cool stuff can happen. And filters is also complex, so this might be a separate video on its own where I show you how to use filters. But in the free plan, I think you are limited to 3, so you kind of have to choose what you want. This is another motivation to get the pro plan, because you can make a lot of custom unique filters to get specific situations going on. There's this filter assist, so if you describe what you want to do, then it will do a pretty dang good job at trying to write the query for you. But let me show you some of the filters that I've used that could be handy for you. I'm going to call this only, let's let's do this. Only high priority. So in the same way we put the priority in the task earlier, we're going to just put this in here. So if it's P1, and this is going to preview it down here, and let's call this, let's make it red, and let's add it to favorites so this filter will show up on the sidebar here. Only high priority. This across the board, whether it's an inbox, whether it's personal, whether it's anywhere, this is just going to show anything that's this red label, this high priority. And you can still choose your grouping and sorting and all of that. If I wanted to change this, then I can go up here and hit edit. So maybe it's like, okay, well, I want P1 and I want P2. So if it's one or the two. So I'm going to say, when you're writing these out, if you're going to get into writing these out, I think the ampersand is both. So I could say P1 and today. P1 and today. So it has to be both to fit this criteria. So these are the things that are P1 and today. And then if you want to do or, it's the bar. So it should be, a lot of times it's above your enter key. So you shift enter, it's just that bar. It's that means or. So that means it's anything that's going to be P1, high priority, or it's today. If it falls into either of those, it will show you. So you see we're getting a lot more. It's because we have today's stuff and we've got, this is not due today, but it's still P1. So you can see how that starts to become handy. So let me show you this. If it's, if you use parentheses, you can put two things together. So I want to see anything that's overdue or due today, and it's P1. And let me even throw in or tomorrow. So if it's overdue, due today, or tomorrow, and it's P1, it will show up. And if I hit save, you can see that this is showing up right here. And I might have put a little too much stuff in there, but I think that's working. So this is, oh, that's on Tuesday. So that's what I got confused about. So let me set that to tomorrow. So now you can see this is tomorrow. This is all red. Let me give you a few more pointers on writing things out in here, just because they're handy to know, and I might try to leave a link somewhere. There's like a whole page on their website of how to write filters, and they can get kind of complex, but you also can keep them pretty simple. What I do is you can, in the same way you wrote it, I'm going to say hashtag personal. So this is going to be anything personal. And I want it personal, and I want it if it's overdue or today. I just like to add the overdue. You could just put and today, but I like seeing if something's spilling over. I put the overdue or today. So if I hit save, you gotta make sure everything's spelled right. If it's not spelled right, you might have some trouble. But this is just, so this is the today view basically. This section right here, but I should change the name. I'll call it only personal today. These are the same things, just I'm not seeing all the work stuff. So if I only wanted to focus on personal, then that's what I would do. So I would do that, and let me show you the actual filters that I'm actively using currently. So I'm going to call this personal and projects. If I can type. So I'm going to use the parenthesis because I want anything that's personal and, or hashtag projects, because projects is still stuff I'm doing. It's not necessarily, you could put work stuff in there, but personal and or projects, and it's either overdue or today. So let's make this not red, let's make it green. So this is the same thing. If I have a project thing due today, a house project like fix door, and I say today, fix door today, then that will show up in here. And I would probably have this view split into projects so I can see these are the projects and these are the personal. Let's add another filter, and in the same way you could say work today, and I'm going to do hashtag work, and overdue, for this one I'll just say today, work and today, and let's say that's very red, and add it to favorites and add same thing. So this is the today, these 4 tasks are just here. You can't drag these right here, but you can change their order here. So if I want personal up on top, actually I thought I could. For some reason I cannot. Add filter above. I think that's a glitch. I think normally you can move these. It might just be because I'm zoomed in. I think that might be a glitch. So normally you can move those and place them the way you want them. So, and that will show here as well. So I have my work today, I have my personal projects, and then the other one that I do that is pretty handy is needs to be scheduled. I have that autofilled. So this is going to be, well, let me show you from the start. If you put no date, anything with no date in it is going to show up in here. And let's make it purple. Now let's add it to favorites. Needs to be scheduled. Just starting there, this is what this looks like. And again, I personally sort these by project because it's easier for me to wrap my head around. But I want to show you a few things. So all these subtasks, if you use a lot of subtasks, will also show up in here. And that gets a little messy for me personally. So what I would actually do is go in here, I would say no date, and you can put subtask. So that's gonna be, it's no date and it's a subtask, but that's not what I want. I want it not subtask. In these filters, if you put exclamation mark before the thing, it's gonna say not. So no date and not a subtask. Save. So here's my personal things that are not scheduled, that aren't subtasks. Here's my work and here's my list. Again, maybe I don't want the list in there either, because the list is really just for reference if I'm gonna go see a movie. So I'm also gonna say and not hashtag list. And if I hit save, oh, sorry, it's lists with an S. That's where you got to get it spelled right. Save. Now I just have basically, if there's anything in projects, test here. This needs to be scheduled. These are things that need to be scheduled. And that's kind of where this all starts to come together, in my opinion. You have all these tools. You can place them where you want. This is kind of the flow of things. This is what I would probably do, is do a weekly review. So I would say, let's do the quick capture. So do weekly review. And I don't want that there, so I'm going to click on that. But I'm going to say every Monday. Every Monday, I'm going to do this weekly review. And we're going to say it's a personal thing. Personal. Add task. If I go find this weekly review, I'm going to add a few things. I'm going to say clear out inbox, because I don't want that to be filled up with stuff. I would say check on upcoming scheduled task. And this doesn't all have to live in here. I've got some weekly review stuff that has to do with my email, that has to do with my notes, that has to do with all this. And I try to do it weekly, and I'll go through this list so that I'm just sure everything's good. Clear out inbox, check on upcoming scheduled tasks, check on unscheduled tasks. And the idea is, let's just start with that. And I'm going to actually set this to today. So I'm in my today view, and I say I have to do this weekly review. I need to clear out inbox. Go to inbox. If I had anything else in here, like this, then I would say, all right, well, these things were stragglers. I'm going to drag that. That's a personal thing. This is a project thing. Cool, inbox is done. So go back to today. The inbox is done. Clear out inbox. Look at upcoming scheduled tasks. That's where you can make a filter to see the upcoming things. You can just use this as well. I think if you do board, sometimes that's easier to see. But apparently I don't have anything scheduled for another time, so let's see. But I can just take a glance. It's like, wow, this Monday's really full. Maybe I want to move some of that. Just take a glance at that. That's fine. It's all good. I'm going to check that off. And then check on unscheduled. This is where things don't slip through the cracks, because as much as like I throw stuff in here, add new thing, let's call this crazy thing. And then I move this to my personal. At the beginning of the week, I'll come and look at this filter and I'll see, okay, these are things that are not just going to pop up on my list. these are not going to just show up in my today view at some point. So I would glance and I'd be like, you know what? I haven't called mom. I'm going to put that for this week. I'm going to throw it on the 23rd. It's gone from this view, and on the 23rd, it will pop up on my today view. Need to prepare family visiting. Maybe that's finally happening. I need to schedule that. Maybe a lot of this stuff stays on here. This is just to remind me, it's like, hey, these are things that I wanted to write down, but I didn't really have a plan to execute that. And that's always, we all have stuff like that where it's like, oh, at some point I need to go to the doctor. At some point I need to clean the garage. At some point I need to do this or that. And that's fine for stuff to live here. The key thing is that we're not forgetting it. At least once a week, you're going to come through here and you're going to be like, oh yeah, I do need to do that at some point. Still not pressing. It's not just something that slips through the cracks. You have it on the radar, even if it's not something you're actively taking steps towards. So basically, the life of a task is you can throw something in here. I would just say like random thing right there. Maybe if I'm more proactive, I say random to, and I'm going to put this in personal. I'm going to say this is due next week. Lowish priority. Just hit enter, and that's just going to pop up whenever it needs to pop up. This happens for me a lot, and I know it sounds crazy, but I do this with the smallest things. Literally, like I'll be about to go to bed and I see a friend texted me, and I'm not trying to start a whole conversation. I might just be like, oh, text back Ted tomorrow. And I just do that. Because this will show up tomorrow in my today view, and I'll see it and I'll be like, oh yeah, he texted me last night. I completely forgot. Because that's something that you'll think you'll remember. It's like, oh yeah, I read the message. I'll text him tomorrow, and then you forget. It's little things like that. At work, that happens a lot where someone says, hey, next week during your meeting with this person, can you check on this thing? And I'll just be like, yeah, my meeting with them is on Tuesday. Check in with Sam about so and so. And then just when Tuesday comes around, it's going to show up in this today view. And it's so quick. Just any small thing is just so easy to capture. And I know this could be a lot for a lot of people. And like I said, don't make it over complicated. Start with just this one list. Just make a list here. You can make a list of today, test, Thursday, hello, and maybe I view this, just the inbox with my due dates, and I can see, oh, these are the chunks of stuff that need to happen at any given point. You can just have one running list and not even use due dates. You can just do it all through priorities. I've done that before too, where I have a big list here, and then I just have this running list, and I'm like, okay, what are the things I want to do today? I'm going to make those red, and tomorrow I want to do that one, and at some point this week I want to do this one. That can be your list. Like, you can, whatever works for you, and you can make it fit your distinct style. But I really like it, and I know this has been a long video, so I'm going to cut it short. I might make more stuff about this, but this is a quick overview just to, teach you what the software can do, and teach you how I'm currently organizing things. I've been through a lot of iterations of different ways of organizing things. I'd say simple, keep it as simple as possible, and don't get overwhelmed with the tasks. Don't be afraid to schedule them. Like, if they don't need to happen soon, put no due date on them and come back to them, because a lot of the times we are like, hey, let's schedule 30 things today, and it just doesn't work. So I'll try to make more stuff. This was a weird video. Don't know if anyone's going to watch it, but I like this kind of stuff. I like helping people get organized. So if you like this, comment down below. Hopefully it's applicable to someone trying to get organized, get their tasks out of their head, and make a roadmap and a plan for making something new. So thank you for your time. And until the next one, I will catch you later.